What if I were to tell you that James Gunn's new Superman movie has a really thoughtful take on kindness and why it matters so much in this day and age? Now, in order to explain why Superman's kindness in this film is so special, I'm going to explain why Superman's kindness in the DCEU is different from David Cornsweet's kindness in James Gunn's DCU. In Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, Superman did a lot of great things. He helped out during natural disasters, he saved lives, and even though he didn't handle the situation perfectly, he put a stop to Zod's alien invasion. Sure, Henry Cavill's Superman made a lot of mistakes. Batman v Superman showed the collateral damage with his fight with Zod, and unfortunately, Superman had to compromise his morals to stop Zod from killing innocent lives. Zack Snyder did everything he could to ground the character by putting him in really tough, morally gray spots. Now, you might disagree with me on this, but I think that Henry Cavill's Superman is a pretty great guy. He wasn't perfect, but he tried his best given the tough moral conundrums that he was caught in. But here's the thing about Zack Snyder's Superman and the DCEU in general. Zack Snyder's DCEU films made it seem like being a kind and decent person was pretty much impossible. No matter how many times Zack Snyder's Superman tried to do the right thing, there was always people online and on media outlets constantly questioning Superman's intentions. Sure, this probably came from a place of fear. Zack Snyder made it pretty clear that everyone was not comfortable with one man having godlike power. But nonetheless, that didn't stop everyone from overanalyzing things, putting a negative spin on Superman's good deeds, and making Superman constantly doubt himself. And that just really sucks for Henry Cavill's Superman. He was pretty much made to believe that he's a bad person just for existing. Lex Luthor Jr. believed that absolute power corrupts absolutely, therefore Superman cannot be good. And Batman, with his major control problems, thought it was best to take out Superman since the guy could possibly turn evil and cause destruction at any given moment. The only people that made Superman not doubt himself was his mom and Lois Lane, which, now that I think about it, really makes Superman a tragic character. Now, from my point of view, James Gunn had a very different stance on kindness and decency. While James Gunn acknowledges that the lines between good and evil can be blurred, his Superman maintains that kindness is pretty straightforward and isn't that complicated. Now, spoilers for Superman in case you haven't seen it. As we all know, there was a major conflict going on between Baravia and Jarpur. Instead of just standing by, Superman got involved and stopped the violence to save innocent lives. Now, a lot of people, including Lois Lane, made it seem like Superman did not do the right thing. After all, Superman's kind of an American citizen. Many government officials made it clear that he had no right getting involved in that conflict since it complicated things geopolitically. Superman did not even ask for any world leaders' permission to get involved. Now sure, Superman got upset and agitated, but he didn't let this get to him. He didn't give in to doubt, and he did not turn to cynicism. He just kept on being a decent person. When that giant kaiju monster attacked Metropolis, Superman didn't overcomplicate anything. He just swooped in and saved lives. He even tried to stop the Justice Gang from killing the kaiju monster. And by the way, David Cornsweet's Superman showed real rational strength in the story, which should not go unnoticed. Lex Luthor trashed the Fortress of Solitude, kidnapped his dog, killed innocents in front of Superman, tried to kill Superman, tried to shatter his reputation, and nearly killed everyone, including Superman's friends in Metropolis, by tearing apart the space-time continuum thanks to a pocket dimension that he created. Superman pretty much had every excuse in the book to take out Lex General Zod style. After all, Lex Luthor was a major threat to society. But Superman did not kill him because that's not kind and it's not decent. It's that simple. Even when people tried to overcomplicate things, even when Guy Gardner, Crypto, and Lex tested his patience, and even when Superman made some mistakes, he kept on being kind. It's really just that straightforward. To be honest, I think both James Gunn and Zack Snyder did a great job of making Superman relevant in this day and age. It's a real shame to say this, but we live in a day and age where cameras are everywhere and people can make the biggest deal about the tiniest imperfections. Both Superman films do not shy away from this. For every good thing that Superman does, there was consequences. I hate to be the guy that says this, but I think the days of Superman saving a cat from a tree are long gone. If someone videotaped Superman doing that and it started trending online, I'm sure there would be some people being negative about his intentions. I'm sure there'd be some people saying that the guy just did it for the camera or something like that. If you don't believe me, look at what happened during the press tour for James Gunn's Superman. When doing press for the movie, James Gunn said something that got taken out of context. James Gunn called Superman an immigrant since he came from Krypton. And of course, some entertainment reporters tied it to MAGA somehow.
Superman is an immigrant story, that it is political. MAGA today was getting a little upset that he called Superman an immigrant. I wanted to get your reaction.
Now, of course, you can believe whatever you want. I don't care who you vote for. It's just that you know what this guy was doing. I'll leave it at that. He definitely wanted to stir the pot and get people going.
It's just a movie, guys.
So yeah, this overly analytical, negative internet day and age that we live in can kind of suck sometimes. but that doesn't mean we can't be like Superman and keep on leading with the best of intentions. In terms of which Superman film I think is better is a tough question to ask. I think it's a lot like comparing apples to oranges. I think Zack Snyder's Man of Steel had a much better narrative flow. Like or hate Man of Steel, but it wasn't bogged down by trying to set up the DCEU. James Gunn's Superman really hit the ground running. To me, it really felt like it was trying to introduce a lot of DC Comics characters instead of future installments. It had Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, the Engineer, Lex Luthor, Mr. Terrific, Metamorpho, Krypto, Supergirl, and all of Superman's friends at the Daily Planet. Man of Steel just had Superman, Lois Lane, General Zod, and pretty much just the generic characters you'd expect from a Superman story. Even though James Gunn's Superman is all over the place narrative-wise, I just love how it's very colorful and comic booky. It's crazy to think that we haven't gotten a Superman story like this in decades. And in terms of cinematography, Zack Snyder's Man of Steel looks more aesthetically amazing. To me, it looks like Zack Snyder goes out of his way to make every single scene and shot look pretty much fantastic. All in all though, I think James Gunn told a better story about kindness. His Superman has much more moral clarity. He inspires rather than controls, and he protects without dominance. He isn't a savior who pities humanity from above. He simply loves people and believes in them even when they're broken. And what I liked about David Cornsweet's Superman is that he wasn't oblivious to the darkness of the world. He sees the cynicism, the corruption, the violence, and yet he chooses to be kind anyways. And I think this movie was really impactful because Superman was not good because the world is, he's good in spite of it. His self-restraint and his willingness to suffer rather than dominate is what makes him powerful and trustworthy. In a time of war, division, and moral compromise, Superman's unshakable hope feels pretty radical. He doesn't just punch problems. He believes in redemption for others and for the world itself. What makes Superman's kindness so great is that it feels earned, conscious, and deeply human. In a world that's so obsessed with realism and anti-heroes, choosing decency feels rebellious and a little punk rock if you ask me. Now, that's not to say that James Gunn's Superman movie was perfect. I thought it was pretty risky at first, including that conflict between Bravia and Jarpor. After all, that drew a lot of parallels to real-life foreign conflicts, so it had the potential to get messy. And the subplot did get kinda messy. Hawkgirl killed the leader of Bravia for being a corrupt douchebag. I hate to be a stickler, but something tells me that intense geopolitical issues should be handled more delicately than that. Hawkgirl killing that guy is probably why there's a wave of anti-metahuman sentiments rising in the DCU. Guy Gardner was not really integral to the plot. He was basically just there to get a rise out of everyone. And Mr. Terrific was so integral to the plot that the movie should have been called Superman and Mr. Terrific. Not only did Mr. Terrific steal the show with one of the best action sequences I've ever seen in my entire life, but he was basically the only person that stopped Lex Luthor from tearing reality apart. Sure, Superman took out the Engineer and Ultraman, but Mr. Terrific was the guy who stopped Lex Luthor's pocket dimension from tearing Metropolis apart. So I definitely think that Warner Brothers and the marketing team should have called the movie Superman and Mr. Terrific. It's only fair play. But what do you think? Do you think this movie had a punk rock stance on kindness? Does this movie make you excited for the future of the DCU? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. As always, thanks a million for watching. Please be sure to give a like and subscribe to Reverb Comics so that you won't miss out on our awesome content. Stay groovy.